Hello, friends. Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. A little bit different show tonight. I am at my house because we've got some news to discuss. Namely, has Jason Garrett finally been let go by the Dallas Cowboys? That's what Ed Werder of ESPN is reporting, and I don't know if that's actually what's going on here. This is a very weird night here for the Dallas Cowboys as the report from ESPN, Ed Werder's out, and I don't actually know what's going on here. I want to believe this is the case. So, and look, it's regardless for Jason Garrett is out as the Cowboys head coach. Only a matter of time here. But the initial Ed Werder report was that Jason Garrett expected to be let go, which is not new. We knew that was going to be the case for a while now. That Ed Werder was, or that the Cowboys are going to part ways from Jason Garrett. It's also very strange to me. Nobody else in Dallas media, not Dallas Morning News, not The Athletic, not Mike Fisher, not Jane Slater of NFL.com. Nobody out there is actually saying anything different. So here's where I think we're actually at. The Dallas Cowboys are going to let go of Jason Garrett. We knew that was going to be the case. We're just waiting for the official news. The problem is we're still kind of waiting for the official news. So I am going to operate because I want to believe it. Jason Garrett's going to be gone. And it's only a matter of time, regardless of what happens or what the report is accurate or not, is actually the case. So, yes, Alex and Goat James and everyone else, type in your FGs to fire Garrett because I think this is it. I'm not sure. It's very strange to me that the Cowboys haven't come out and said anything. Like, everything is quiet. And I agree, T. Phoenix, that hopefully the meeting, if there is one tomorrow, is the official. Jason Garrett will not be back. They're going to inform him and everything. Again, for everyone just kind of tuning in right now, I know everyone's going to flow in at different times, so I'll re-hit this a bunch here. I am streaming from my house. That is why we don't have our fancy graphics. I'm wearing my very cheap video gaming headset and all of that. The report from Ed Werder earlier tonight was that the Dallas Cowboys were taking their time with Jason Garrett as a sign of respect, which doesn't actually make very much sense because it's not really doing him much favor there. The other part was that he was expected to be let go, and it was just a matter of time. The problem with that initial report is that it's not new. We knew that was going to be the case. It's been expected for a while. We were all waiting for the official news. And I don't really know if we actually have that yet. Ed Werder's going on ESPN right now and saying that, yeah, they're going to move on from him, but it's not exactly quite what we were expecting. It's not really the official news. And I got producer Brett over there running the community chat. So everyone thank Brett in the comments for staying up late here. But he's right when he says roll 1504. There was no meeting today. Not that I've heard of. I don't think there was a meeting at all. So we're on day 4, almost day 5 at this point, especially on the East Coast. And we're still on meeting number 3. And I don't know when we're going to get the official news. It's very good, regardless, that Ed Werder feels confident enough to say, hey, Jason Garrett's not going to be back. It's also this entire process, and this is just classic Cowboys, the entire process has been very, very strange. It doesn't really make any sense. So I guess of course we'll hit this a bunch here. Feel free to throw in your questions. I'll hang out here until my computer dies or my wife yells at me to come to bed at this point. But use hashtag Cowboy just like we always do. We'll bring up the questions and all of that, or not bring them up, but I'll answer them here live on the show. Again, it's all it's strange. It's weird, but nothing about this has not been weird. This entire process, most teams fire their head coach in a day or two. They know what they're going to do. They make the decision. They pull the Band-Aid off and they move on. It's not what the Cowboys have done. They've chosen to be weird with it and drag it out, and it's just very, very strange. So Josiah Roberts, it's not really official yet, is what we're getting at. It's not official yet. It's a matter of, as it's been for several days now, it's a matter of when, not if. And it's still, I guess, technically a non-0% chance. But as we mentioned, 3 hours ago when we did our earlier show, it's not going to be back. And the chance is like maybe 1 or 0.5. That's whatever it is. So keep the questions coming here. By the way, I am not in my pajamas. I have a Cowboy shirt on. Okay, I'm still wearing it. It looks backwards, but I'm still wearing one. So it's all very strange. keep coming this back here every couple of minutes. To answer your question, Ricardo, yes, this is a PS4. I said that because I have a PS4. My username is at @whatgoingdowny because I keep it consistent. All right, so let's scroll through here. First one I see that I like. Jair, Cowboys, are there any good free agency for cornerback? We need to sign Byron Jones. Byron's probably your best one, but there are some other options, unlike, say, wide receiver. David Ellswick, I've seen reports on players slipping commitment from Oklahoma. That is true. Check our video from earlier today. Do you think that has anything to do with him coming to the Cowboys? I don't think so. I'm sure he's heard the buzz about Lincoln Riley to the Cowboys, as has been the case for well over a year now. But the recruit's not going to find out first. There's no way. Matthew, I'm not streaming from my closet. I'm streaming from our guest room, which I guess kind of looks like a closet because we don't do anything special with the walls because we're lazy here. All right, what else? Release Amari, draft Laviska. I do not agree with that. Alex, I don't think that's a great decision to make there. Jesse, I appreciate your joke there. The reason they haven't fired Jason Garrett is they may bring him back as a quarterback. It's funny. I appreciate that there. Captain Cowboy says, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll tell you what, I don't disagree. Once the Cowboys come out with it, or, the entirety of Cowboys media agrees with Ed's report, that makes sense. But again, for those of you just now tuning in, we got like 700 people live. First off, different show than you're used to. Normally we have graphics and everything. Instead, I'm just hanging out from my guest room streaming for you guys because ESPN's going breaking with it. We kind of have to do the same thing here. But this isn't really official. Ed Werder is reporting what he's been told, that the Cowboys aren't going to bring him back. And the word in his report was expected. And that's kind of what we already knew, that Jason Garrett, he hasn't been expected to come back. The issue is that it's never been official. I don't really think it is official yet. And I don't know when it's going to, be official. It might be a little bit. Maybe the Cowboys are attempting to kind of let this leak and get out there because they've been very quiet so far. And they can come back with the old, hey, we're going to do it officially once his contract ends on January 14th. But the news from Ed Werder of ESPN, Garrett's out, and we'll see if that's official / when it ends up being official. There's a super chat here that I'm trying to get to. Amit says, I like your tie. I'm not wearing a tie, though. It's okay. Interesting. Ahmed, you sent your video reaction. I will check that out later tonight. I was a little bit busy getting the show ready. I don't have Madden 20 Potato Master. I stopped at Madden 19 because all of those video games are the same. All right, so keep the comments coming. I like the FGs too, by the way. I appreciate that. The Fire Garretts are always welcome here on the Cowboys Report. We've been consistent on that for quite a while. Mike McCarthy, Greg Roman, the candidates there. Check the channel, guys. If you go back, look at some of our older videos, about a week ago, somewhere in that time frame, maybe a little bit less, we did an updated look at the head coaching candidates. Not much has changed. Ron Rivera, of course, is out of that list. He's not going to be the Cowboys head coach. I'm not too upset about that. I figured the Cowboys would be able to find someone a little bit better than Ron Rivera. That's not a huge surprise to me. I figured they'd be able to find somebody at least better, or at least the same as Ron Rivera. So I'm curious to see what route they end up going. We didn't have Mike Zimmer on that list because, he was still in the midst of a Vikings playoff run. I think Mike Zimmer makes some sense for the Cowboys, but the names we've discussed thousands of times on this show: Lincoln Riley, Urban Meyer, Matt Rule, the 49ers coordinators, or the coordinator, and the Ravens coordinators, Don Martindale, Greg Roman for the Baltimore Ravens, Robert Saleh for the 49ers. All of those guys make a ton of sense for the Cowboys. I think college is the route they want to go, and I am very curious if Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, who loves to be in the news as he's managed to somehow drag out a coaching firing for 4 days now, almost 5 days, I am very curious to see what they end up doing. Maybe they do totally swing for the fences, and I think they're going to try to. And I believe this for weeks now, frankly, that the Dallas Cowboys have been conducting the search behind the scenes and in private for a while. I didn't think they were going to suddenly, now we're going to begin our search. I think they've had plans for a while about their overall attack plan and figuring out what routes they wanted to go, and probably communicating with coaches behind the scenes. All right, some super chats I want to get to. Thank you guys very much for those. Bijan Manzuri, bought my baby to be a baby Dak jersey. I like that. You're a good man there. Hopefully you used our Fanatics deals to help you guys out. And then what was the other one? Miguel Garcia. Should the Cowboys draft Thaddeus Moss from LSU? I am open to that idea. I am curious to see what Moss's draft stock actually looks like. He's had some productive plays. I think he's only a junior, so he might go back to school for one more year. But I think that Thaddeus Moss would be a good addition as a later round guy, certainly not early. All right, the big one, the $10 one from Supreme Squishy. Thank you very much. And, of course, everyone else watching our put together live video. Tom, to be honest, I'm going to miss Garrett. Yeah, he wasn't the greatest, but I grew up with the guy as coach of my favorite sports franchise for 10 years of my 19 years life. I understand that. Look, Garrett's been around here for a long time, and if you include his assistant coaching days, even longer. You can go date back to his playing days for the Cowboys. He's been a big factor, and to answer your question, Supreme, or at least kind of dive into your comment, I think that's why it's been so difficult for Jerry Jones to officially make his decision and say, yes, we're going to move on from Jason Garrett, and yes, we're going to begin a new coaching search. And he wants Garrett to be the guy, and I think that's why there is no official announcement yet, and he's trying to drag it out. I think he believes Garrett is a good coach, and I think deep down he's worried, and it is a possibility. It's a possibility you have to take the gamble on here, but it is a possibility that Jason Garrett goes to a new team and has success and ends up being a good coach or being an upgrade over other coaches out there. So I am very curious to see what ends up happening there officially with the new head coach once it's officially news. Those of you just now tuning in, hit this a bunch for you guys. Ed Werder, ESPN, earlier tonight tweeted out, hey, the Cowboys and Stephen Jones, they're trying to be respectful of Jason Garrett, but their plan does not include him in the long term, and they are expected to move on. Then later this evening, SportsCenter ESPN go with the breaking news. Jason Garrett is done as the Cowboys head coach. And it's interesting to me because there's some disconnect there on the exact nature of the report and what Ed Werder said in his tweet and what he said on ESPN and what SportsCenter's kind of rolled with since then. So officially, there is no true news that Garrett is officially gone. It hasn't really been confirmed by other reporters. It hasn't been confirmed by the Dallas Cowboys. But what we do know has been the case for a while, that Garrett isn't supposed to be back. But everyone's running with this, so I feel like we had to, start a show and discuss and not tweet our way through it, but, live video chat our way through it. So I'll keep answering questions here. Using hashtag Cowboys does make it a little bit easier for me to find them, just as a bunch of them scrolling all at once. Ghost Slayer, don't they have to pay Garrett if they fire him? Yes and no, but you got 2 weeks worth of time, or not even 2 weeks. His contract expires on January 14th, so you've got 12 days. You're not paying him that much money. I don't think that really impacts your decision making. Plus, you're Jason Garrett. You're Jerry Jones. You've got all of the money you could ever want in the world. So I don't really think that is much of an option there. Stelios 300, thank you very much for your super chat. I appreciate that a lot. Jerry Garcia, I think Titans OC could be a good candidate. I mean, look what he did with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. That's an interesting idea, but they also just lost their OC last year to the Packers. That was Matt LaFleur. They hired their tight ends coach. He's only been there for a year. I like the idea because of what he's did, but I think that you can find a better option for the Cowboys. All right, fins up. CJ Goodwin and start him. No, I'm sorry. He's not better than Byron Jones. He's not better than Chidobe Awuzie. He's not better than Jordan Lewis. He's not better than Anthony Brown. If you're starting CJ Goodwin next year, you got some major problems at the cornerback position. All right, the wordologist, do you think Lincoln Riley would take an OC job here in Dallas? Absolutely not. There is a 0% chance that Lincoln Riley would ever take a coordinator position while he is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. That doesn't make sense. The Oklahoma job is better than a bunch of NFL jobs. It is going to the Cowboys OC is a downgrade on that one there. Matt S., and if I don't get to your question, keep putting it in because there's a lot, and I got to kind of pause the chat just to get to them. Matt S., Don Martindale as head coach. I am intrigued by that idea If you want to go defensive route, I think he's up there with Robert Saleh and Matt Eberflus, the former Cowboys linebackers, passing game coordinator, and now the Colts defensive coordinator. He mentioned, and basically Martindale leaked out that he wanted Joe Brady, which I am very intrigued by. I also don't know, and I kind of doubt that Don Martindale would get Joe Brady. If he can do it, I'm super intrigued by that. I like that pairing. I also don't think that it's really a very likely option. Jer Bear, I saw you ask this a couple times. The Urban Meyer, different question. The Eric Ebron responding with an eye emoji on ESPN's Instagram. I actually didn't see that. No. That's intriguing to me. And I think for Eric Ebron, he knows he's going to be a free agent. He might as well try and drum some interest in himself. All right, Alfredo Rodriguez, a non-coaching question. We won't do too many of these, but I like this one. So the Cowboys draft Cole Kemp from Notre Dame, the tight end who just declared today. I am intrigued by that. I also think he's going to be off the board before the Cowboys should do it. I don't think you take him in round 1. He might be gone by the time you have a chance to take him in round 2. Super chat from Connor Coppersmith. Nice name there. Who is your favorite dark horse head coach candidate? Hasn't been talked about much. Thanks, Tom. Love the show. It's a good question. I think we've talked about a lot of them. In terms of dark horses, I kind of wonder if Matt Eberflus counts as a dark horse candidate because of his ties to the Cowboys organization. You'd have to find a good offensive coordinator, but the Cowboys liked him. I think that would be an intriguing route to go. If you want to go super dark horse candidate, and I don't think Dan Mullen counts in that category, so basically I'm excluding anyone we've talked about before on the show. If you want to be the 49ers, I actually don't think you go with Robert Saleh. I would call Mike McDaniel, the Niners run game coordinator, who's basically been Kyle Shanahan's right-hand man for a couple of years now. Now, he did a very publicized past with alcohol issues you have to vet, but I think that's worth exploring. I see some of you guys mentioning Josh McDaniels. I don't really think that's going to be an option for the Cowboys. I think he wants too much power. Dan Campbell, I don't consider a dark horse, but I think maybe Pete Carmichael does, the Saints OC. Both of those guys, frankly, I think could be options. They haven't really been on our top 10 lists, but more the top 12 lists. Dan Campbell's a Bill Parcells disciple. Both of them spent a lot of time under Sean Payton. I would be okay with that decision. I see Nick Saban. I don't think that's going to happen. Nick Saban is currently recruiting all of his guys to come back so he can make one more revenge tour run in Alabama. With Alex Leatherwood deciding to return to Alabama, I don't see Saban making the jump to the NFL. Frankly, I don't think he's going to return to that job. He's got a great job as the Bama head coach. Why leave? Someone says Jeff Fisher. I would rather keep Jason Garrett. I have no interest whatsoever in bringing in Jeff Fisher at all. All right, see what else we got in here. Freddie F. called Robert Kraft to convince you to trade him Belichick's son, Steve, who's the special teams guy right now out in New England. I know that he's Bill's son, and that's why we all want him. If his name was Steve Johnson, no one would give a crap at all about him. So I don't really know if that's really going to be an option here for the Cowboys. All right, let's see what else we got here. I see a lot of Lincoln Riley. You guys know my thoughts on that if you've been subscribed for a while. I love Lincoln Riley. I think he'd be a great fit for the Cowboys. And I know Stephen Jones likes him quite a bit, in large part because the Joneses spent plenty of time talking with Lincoln Riley and developing that relationship when his son, in the end, that's John Stephen Jones, was being recruited by Oklahoma to walk on, later went to Arkansas as a head coach. All right, XWrath89XX. And you guys answer this one too. Would you prefer an offensive or defensive-minded head coach? So if you want offense, type in O. If you want defense, type in D. If it is all equal, and I have to go with I get a great offensive mind or I get a great defensive coordinator and I figure out the rest later and everything's equal, I'm always going to take the offensive mind. That is the route I am always going to go for the Dallas Cowboys. I think that makes a lot of sense. And for the NFL in today's day and age, the offense matters. Offense is the way the rules are structured to favor. Therefore, you take advantage of the offensive side to get your best option out there. Now, I'll make note here from Jane Slater a couple of minutes ago, and this is not new. It's what we mentioned at the beginning, so we'll recap it all and then end on the Jane Slater note. Ed Werder earlier tonight, and said his tweet was that the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry and Stephen Jones were going to move on from the head coach, Jason Garrett. Eventually, that was the expectation. Then SportsCenter, ESPN, and Ed Werder on ESPN, they come out and they say, hey, it's going to happen. It's a done deal. And as I said at the beginning of the show, is it really, though? This is not official. And I know it's being run with as official. That's why we're live kind of talking through this here. But it's really not official yet. The Cowboys have not announced anything. And to update you on Jane Slater's report, no one has confirmed that Jason Garrett has been told that a decision has been made. And again, so we're at the exact same point beyond ESPN saying it's a done deal. I also said Doug Marrone was out, that the Cowboys are expected to move on from Jason Garrett. They probably will move on from Jason Garrett. It's a matter of when, not if, but we just don't know what the official rule is yet. So it's all very confusing, very unclear. I would categorize this more as Cowboys rumors than Cowboys news. It's all very, very strange. So we'll get to some more questions here, and we'll hit that up again in like 5 minutes or so because we got more super chats. Thank you guys very much. My wife will appreciate that since I'm ignoring her on one of her days off. Alaki Trimble, just wanted to say how awesome the show is. Thank you very much. Ride the highs with you and suffer through the lows together. It's very accurate. I hope we have a four-man front. For the next head coach, I am open to exploring a three-man front. If you want to go get Isaiah Simmons, you're not going to be able to. Or Kenneth Murray, that's kind of right. You have to go there, move Jalen to edge rusher. But I'd say stick with a four-man front. I think that's what the team is suited for. You can find a good one technique at some point in this year's draft. The other super chat that I want to get to here from Big Reg, I like the Matt Eberflus idea. I kind of do too. It is not my first choice. It's not my number one choice at all, but I think it makes a lot of sense for the Cowboys for what they want. I think they still want having some comfort in there. We'll see what route they end up going here for the Dallas Cowboys, but I think that makes sense if you're Dallas, given what we know about this organization, the fact that they like to have comfort in their front office and in their organization overall. All right, more comments here. Food review, you're trolling. I'm not going to answer that one. In these, that's Fox Sports did not report that. They copy-pasted the ESPN report there. Potato Master, $100. Tom is sleeping on the couch tonight. It is not available on BetDSI yet. You can go check it out, though. Chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Cowboys120. Decent chance there, because normally my wife is in bed by now, and instead she's patiently waiting for me to stop doing Cowboy stuff. All right, DJ47, if we nope, not answering that. Will not answer any questions on Jimmy Johnson, any questions on Tony Romo. It's not going to happen. Simple. Dwight Matthews, we didn't mention Eric Bieniemy, so I think that's fair. I think Bieniemy could be an option. I am a little bit worried about going with an offensive coordinator who doesn't call the plays. I would almost prefer, if you're going to go that route, give me Dan Campbell. Give me a guy that I know can be a good leader. I think that could make a lot of sense for the Dallas Cowboys. I agree. Lincoln Ryan, I think, is a good fit there. King Ryan Tannehill, or Dak Prescott. Easy, Dak Prescott. As for Robert Saleh being a head coach, I think it's possible. I am worried about Robert Saleh because he could just be this year's Chris Richard, frankly. Gets a lot of interviews. Robert Saleh, this time last year, especially in the middle of the year, Niners fans wanted him fired. They did not think he was doing a good job. Now, all this talent comes into the 49ers and take a huge step forward. I don't know. Interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Tom Herman, nope, not interested in that one. I would much rather have Matt Rule or Lincoln Riley. Allen Robinson, is Kellen Moore out as OC if Garrett is gone? It depends on what the Cowboys do in terms of hiring their head coach. I don't know what route they're going to take. If they go with an offensive-minded guy like, say, a Lincoln Riley, I don't know if they're really going to go that route because they already have an offensive-minded guy. So at that point, you don't really need Kellen Moore as your OC. If you go with a defensive guy or maybe an Urban Meyer, then I could see Kellen Moore staying. Kellen Moore is under contract next year, I believe, so you don't have to fire him. You could bring him back, but in the end, the next Cowboys head coach is going to have a tremendous amount of influence on his staff because that's how things work, plain and simple. John Fox, nope. Don't like that one. Maybe as a coordinator, defense coordinator, but I don't want him as a head coach. That'd be a really big disappointment. I'm not all that interested in Rex Ryan either. I think that you can do better. Wade Phillips, meanwhile, if I can get him, sure. I don't know if he wants to come back to the Dallas Cowboys. So that'd be a very interesting route to play. All right. For those of you just now tuning out, 1,000 people watching right now, first off, thank you guys very much. So recap what we know from tonight. The report from Ed Werder on the Dallas Cowboys is that Jerry and Stephen Jones are going to make a decision. They're going to decide what happens here with the Dallas Cowboys. They've decided they don't want Jason Garrett. They're going to make that official, and they are expected to. Remember, that expected word's a big deal there. And then like 45 minutes later, after his tweet, ESPN and the Sports Center come out with the breaking news: Jason Garrett will not return. They don't include the word expected. Now, Ed Werder went on ESPN and kind of said, in an official tone, was that it was a done deal. But there's some confusion here because Ed Werder's tweet did not line up with what ESPN is pushing right now and have been pushing for the last hour or so. Jane Slater has come out and said there's really nothing official yet. No one's told Jason Garrett for sure. Now, I believe that both of those things can coexist at the same time. Jerry and Stephen have made up their mind. No one's told Jason yet. Both of those things can be true. It's also very strange to me how quiet Cowboys media has been. So what I think right now, as I've thought for a while, Garrett's gone. He's not going to come back. He is not going to be the Cowboys head coach. There's also still probably a non-zero chance that Garrett is staying in some capacity. I think that's like a 1% or a 0.5% chance, but until it's official, until Jerry and Steve come out and say it's a done deal, you kind of can't assume that it is. So that's why we're live right now, just kind of videoing through it, taking your questions here. So if it's your first time watching the show, it's a very different show normally. Normally we have graphics. I look better. The lighting's way better. There's no shadow right here. I get my lefts and rights mixed up, but it's a big deal. It's 10:30 at night. I live like a half hour away from the office. Let's just do it from my computer. So that's the update there. If it's your first time watching, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want head coaching candidates, A, we'll keep talking about them. B, I have videos already up on the channel. You can go check them out here. All information on the Cowboys. We got you guys covered on the Cowboys Report. All right, super chat. Wasn't going to miss it. Preston Pennington. This is Jerry. If he is making a move on from his guy, Jerry's probably going to make a big splash. His last hire, he is going big. I think that's the mindset for Jerry Jones. I think they want to aim for the fences. Now, I don't think you're going to get Sean Payton. I wish you could. I think Jerry tried last year and has tried before to get Sean Payton, but Payton signed his extension. I don't think that's going to be the case there for the Dallas Cowboys. I think Lincoln Riley makes a lot of sense for the Cowboys. I see some Jim Harbaugh's coming in. I mean, maybe. I'm very conflicted on Jim Harbaugh as the Cowboys head coach because we know he did a great job with San Francisco. We know that. Now, he's put Michigan in a better place. But if he leaves Michigan, he is not leaving as a successful coach. It hasn't been the expectations were never met for Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. And I almost wonder a little bit, has Harbaugh maybe lost his touch? He's not quite as good as he was at Stanford or with the 49ers. I'd probably still do it, but I don't quite think he's 100% home run hire because either A, he doesn't want to leave Michigan. That's his alma mater. B, if he does leave Michigan, is he really the guy that you want? I'm just not sure there. Jake from State Farm says, anyone but Garrett. I say hire me as Cowboys owner, GM, front office. As producer Brett in the comments says, if you mention Jimmy Johnson, you are a boomer. That is a boomer mentality. Guys, it's not 1999 anymore. I've got one rule for this head coaching search, all right? Two rules. One, it's not Jason Garrett. Two, he has to have coached in the last 10 years. That's not too much to ask. So Jimmy Johnson, it doesn't make sense, guys. It's been 2 decades. He hasn't coached in this century. It's not going to happen. It makes no sense whatsoever. Mike Tomlin from FunnyTube Goom. I am intrigued to see what happens. I do not believe that the Steelers will let Mike Tomlin go. So I don't think it's really an option there. James Harm, yes, I am against Jimmy Johnson. It's been 20 years. The game's passed him by. A, he's not coming back. No way. B, I don't want a coach who hasn't done anything in the NFL coaching world in 20 years. That's a horrible idea, guys. All right, no more Jimmy questions. I'm done. Brian Kelly, maybe, maybe not. I think you can do better. I don't think that's a great hire for the Cowboys. Kelly's a good college coach. I don't think that's quite enough there. Zach Taylor says Joe Brady. I am intrigued by Joe Brady. I would want to bring him in as an OC. Like if I go with a defensive mind, Matt Eberflus, for example, or Slay, whatever, Joe Brady gets my first call. I think that'd be a really good move for the Cowboys. Chris Richard is not happening, and I don't want it to happen anymore. There's no need for it. I've seen enough. I can roll him back as DC if you can't get anybody better, but not going to be my head coach. No way. Mike Zimmer, I think could be an option. I think that's very possible there. What was that? Those 001, 0001, 0001. It's possible. Let's see what happens. Check in with me about Mike Zimmer after the Vikings play on Sunday. Then we'll know more if that's more of a possibility in the end. We got a lot of guys. I got to be honest. We got a lot of dumb questions in here and dumb ideas. I'm just going to ignore them going forward. If you want to make it easier on me, use hashtag Cowboys like Troy did. Do you think Brian Belichick would make a good head? Oh, Brian Billick would make a good head coach if you can learn more from television. And that falls into the no category. He's been away too long. I'm not interested. Jack Del Rio, give me the Redskins DC. Don't want him either. So I wouldn't want him as a DC, but I think you can find someone younger and more innovative there. Destroyer Dog wants to know what Jason Garrett's last words are. That is a trick question, my friend. You see, Jason Garrett's last words will not be words. Instead, he will just be clapping. That's all he's going to do when he leaves. He's not going to say anything. He's going to clap and say, well, it's been fun, gentlemen. But it's going to be clapping. That's how he ends his tenure because that's how he did his entire tenure. He clapped. Thoughts on Matt Rule from a couple different people in there, including X-Wrath. I am intrigued by Matt Rule. I think the job he has done at Baylor is some of the most impressive college football rebuilding and coaching I've seen this side of Greg Schiano. Like, it is so impressive. I also wonder if it would make more sense if the Cowboys were also rebuilding. There will be an adjustment period for almost whatever head coach the Cowboys bring on. If it's a college guy, you're going to have a bit of a waiting option here. So I am intrigued by it. I might prefer Matt Rule if I wanted to blow it up. Since I don't, I'm probably going to go with Lincoln Riley. Earlier you guys asked me about a dark horse candidate. FunnyTube threw out the name Kevin Stefanski. That, I think, does qualify as a dark horse candidate. I think the Cleveland Browns could end up going that route there. He was a finalist last time around. He runs play action. That's all I want. Give me the damn play action. So I am very curious to see if that's the route the Cowboys go. Maybe gets interviewed in the end. I think he's a dark horse and not all that likely. Food Review throws out Gary Kubiak as a coordinator. That makes more sense. He's not going to be your head coach. He has said he does not want to be a head coach anymore. So I don't think that's an option. But as coordinator, especially if you bring in Mike Zimmer, that could make a lot of sense. Robert Clark asking about Chris Peterson from Washington. I think that could be an option. I think in the end, it took a pretty big hit when he said he was walking away from the Cowboys job or from the Huskies job. Now, maybe there's a grand conspiracy that Chris Peterson had the Cowboys job locked up in his back pocket. But normally, coaches don't say, I need to recharge and rest my batteries when you're going to go take an even more stressful job. Going from watching Huskies to Dallas Cowboys, whew, That's a pretty massive jump. I don't think that's going to be the option here in the end. What else we got here? Joseph, I'll make note of Sean Payton here again. He signed the extension. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sorry. I don't think that's the route the Cowboys go. Hello says Angelo, quarterback. Nope, not going to happen. Shavon Wilson, quite interesting. Browns, they were interested in Urban Meyer, and they finally pulled the trigger. They're not connected. On the Meyer thing, the Browns have liked him for a while. They tried to recruit him when they hired Hugh Jackson. They went after Meyer a long time ago. That's not new that the Browns have liked Urban Meyer or someone in the front office and regime likes Urban Meyer. To recap what we know tonight, nothing is official because I don't know when we're going to get it as official. What happened tonight was Ed Werder tweets out, source, the Cowboys and Stephen Jones has tried to be respectful of Jason Garrett and kind of, winding it down slowly and all that. And the plan and the expectation is that he will not be a part of their organization going forward soon. Did not provide a timeline, and emphasizing the expected part, which isn't really providing all that much information. So it's not new. We knew that Jason Garrett was not supposed to be back as the Cowboys head coach. That was not new. We have known that for weeks. Everybody in the world, Jason Garrett himself knew that. But nothing was official. Then like 40 minutes later, ESPN, SportsCenter, breaking news, Ed Werder reports that Jason Garrett is out as the Cowboys head coach and will not return. But they didn't include the expected part. And I almost wonder if ESPN has jumped the gun a little bit here. Now, Jane Slater has reported that there's nothing official yet and that no one's told Garrett. I will make note that both of these reports can be true. Ed Werder's report that Jerry and Stephen Jones have decided can be accurate, while Jane Slater's report that no one's told Garrett can also be true. So in the end, we know it's a matter of when, not if. The timing, I don't know. If it's not officially announced tomorrow, I don't think it's going to be officially announced until Monday. I don't think Jerry wants to be with the NFL playoffs for the news storylines on that front. So it's a matter of when, not if. I don't think we really have the official decision here. Now, he's gone. Don't get me wrong there, Jacoby J. He's not going to be back. I would be stunned. Nothing in the NFL world will have shocked me as much if Jason Garrett is back as head coach next year. He's not going to return. It's too obvious. It's the right decision. But I also don't think, officially speaking, the Cowboys have made their decision, or at least have told Garrett and told everybody. All of those things can be true, and in the end, we're kind of stuck back at the same waiting game of, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Who knows? Now, as for the next head coach, I kind of agree with CO2 Designs. I think Lincoln Riley makes a lot of sense there. We'll do some more Q&A for we'll go for another 8 minutes or so, and then we'll recap the news, and then I'll sign off and go pay attention to my wife for the rest of the evening. All right, Romo is OC. No, guys, Romo's not coming back. Romo has the greatest job in the world. He calls games for CBS Sports, gets to golf all the time he wants, spends all the time in the world with his family. Never been a coach, by the way. That should be a negative factor against him. He's not going to leave the CBS job for longer work hours, less pay, and more stress. People don't do that. That's silly. AJ Sports, what about hiring Josh Heupel as our offensive coordinator and getting a defensive-minded head coach? I will be honest that I don't want Josh Heupel. Why would I want Josh Heupel when I can get a better coach who replaced him at Oklahoma in Lincoln Riley? Heupel is, what was my analogy? Not Randy Shannon, Larry Coker. Josh Heupel is Larry Coker. Took over a great spot at UCF, and frankly, isn't really that great of a coach. So I don't want Josh Heupel at all. If you're going defensive-minded, between Heupel and Kellen Moore, I'd rather keep Kellen Moore. I'm not interested at all in Josh Heupel. Now, Jimmy Productions, and a few other guys threw in Tony Elliott. If you're not subscribed, you guys really should, because we've actually talked about Tony Elliott a while ago. You can search the channel. It's on there. To recap that, Elliott was mentioned by Jane Slater, and Tony Elliott himself came out and said, No, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I get the Cowboys head coaching job? I will make note, Tony Elliott did get a head coaching interview request from the Carolina Panthers. So there are some in the NFL that likes him. However, Tony Elliott declined that interview because he thought it was just a Rooney Rule interview and he didn't want to go through a fake interview process. There you go. Let's see. Mike Duckworth, who will be our defensive coordinator? I don't know. I think there is still a good chance that Chris Richard is back, but I am curious to see what ends up happening there. Who you hire as head coach will have a big impact on who you end up going with as your next or as your head coach. All right, Killa. Do you think that Jerry is to also announce the hiring of his replacement at the same time? I don't think so, because you've got requirements. Like, if you can find a way to interview multiple coaches stealthily, yeah, but I don't think you can pull that off. Remember, in the NFL, you must interview a minority coach. Now, I think Chris Richard would fit that bill for the Cowboys. It would be easy. You could do it quickly, but I would be very surprised if the Dallas Cowboys were able to quietly and quickly be able to find a head coach without actually officially moving on from your current guy. That would be pretty crazy from Jerry Jones, and frankly, pretty impressive as well. Tony Dungy, guys, I don't know what to tell you guys. You keep throwing out coaches who haven't coached in 10 years. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, it's just no way. It doesn't really make much sense. It's not really a sensible move there by the Dallas Cowboys. Xavier wants to know if I want Chris Richard back as defensive coordinator. Let me adjust my legs, killing me. I am intrigued by it. I don't hate the ideas maybe as much as I once did to start. I also don't think it'd be the best idea for the Cowboys. I would explore other options. I just don't know if that's the route that is best for the Cowboys. But there might not be a better option out there. Les Miles makes no sense at all. Why would you do that? As I mentioned earlier, I think Chris Peterson, I think he's going to take some time off there. CO2 Designs, Lincoln Riley will not bring Dan Mullen as an offensive coordinator. He will not do it because Florida head coach to Cowboys OC, that is a downgrade. That makes no sense for Dan Mullen. That doesn't make any sense at all. Witten, to answer your question, Destroyer Dog, will be back in some capacity with the Dallas Cowboys, either as a tight ends coach or maybe back as tight end. AJ Sports, why can't we offer Dak $30 million a year, let him decline? Who is going to pay him more? Teams will. Guys, look around the NFL at the other quarterbacks out there. Kirk Cousins got 28, and Dak's better than Kirk Cousins. Jared Goff got 31, and Dak Prescott's better than Jared Goff. Like, you offer Dak 30, he says no. And then you franchise tag him because you have no other options. And then it comes really expensive. Pay Dak. It's not that hard. If you have a top 10, top 15 quarterback, you pay him. You don't make it all that difficult. It's just silly to not do that there in the end. Trey Alexander-White, would our chances at Lincoln be better if Oklahoma played better in the CFP? I don't think so. Lorenzo, if you say Linehan again, I am going to block you from this channel. I'm kidding, but no there. Dabo is not going to leave Clemson. I don't think that makes usually the route they're going to end up going there in the end. Dak is better than Kirk Cousins, Joseph. I've watched them play for years. Come on now. Dan Campbell, I think that makes more sense than Linehan there. Ghost Slayer says Deion Sanders, misspelled by the way, as DB coach. I love Deion, but I think he'd be better as a college DB coach where he can recruit. I think that'd be a good fit for him there. AK Slim with the fake news. Dak is not the worst quarterback in the NFC East. That's frankly the dumbest thing I've heard all night. Crazy. Jose NASCAR. I'll do a few more, and then I'm gonna call it for the night here. Drafted DT in round 1. Possible. I think DT and defensive back are your main targets there. All right, I'll do 3 more questions, and I'll recap the news, and then we're gonna call for the night here. I'll pick good ones here. Esteban Mendez. Why are you so big on Riley gets destroyed every year in the playoffs? Esteban, if the college football playoff were not 4 teams and it were instead 2 teams, and Oklahoma did not get in any of those 2 years because they lost 1 game, as the vast majority of coaches do, and Lincoln Riley were to win a couple of bowl games instead of losing to the number 1 team or number 2 team each year, wouldn't your opinion change? And I think it would. That's why you don't factor that in. It's certainly a factor, but you should not change your opinion on Lincoln Riley just because he has lost games against better teams. Lincoln Riley has taken the Oklahoma offense out there and turned them into a top 10 offense every single year with 3 different quarterbacks. Yes, he plays against Big 12 defenses, and that certainly helps helps out his stats there in the end. But the job that Riley has done, his scheme will translate. I need someone who helps me out on Sundays. Lincoln Riley will do that for the Dallas Cowboys. I will not count this one, but yes, Alakai, Dak Prescott fits what Lincoln Riley wants in a quarterback. He's better right now than any of the guys Lincoln has had, and he's certainly way better than Jalen Hurts. Jason, difference between Lincoln Riley and Matt Rule. They're kind of fundamentally different coaches. Lincoln Riley is a schemer. You are not hiring him for his defense. You better get a good DC in there. Matt Rule is more of the CEO type. He doesn't always call the plays. It's not his area of expertise, but he's a great leader and he's a great motivator. I would like both of those guys, or one of them, I should say, for the Dallas Cowboys head coach. Destroyer Dog, can I get a Go Cowboys? Yes, everyone type Go Cowboys in the comments because we're all Cowboys fans here, except, for the few Eagles fans hanging around. All right, I got 2 more questions in me here, guys, and then we'll recap the news and sign off for a night. I'll try to find something we haven't done yet so far. This is funny. Do you think Garrett will find another job or be like Scott and not find a job? I think the best move for Jason Garrett is to sit out this year, this upcoming year, and reset and learn. Take the Mike McCarthy approach. That would be his best decision. Last one, John DeFilippo. If you watched the show a couple of years ago, I was all in on DeFilippo as the Cowboys OC. That did not happen. He went to Minnesota. He got fired midway through the year, ended up with Jacksonville, has helped out his stock, not as a head coach. I think you have to go OC only, and I don't know if that's actually going to happen there for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, the news here one more time. Ed Werder tonight tweets out, hey, the Cowboys are expected to move on from Garrett. We knew that already. Now Ed Werder, ESPN reporting that it's a done deal. It's really not. It's not official yet. I hope it is. Hope it is soon, but Ed Werder's initial tweet and the Cowboy and the ESPN report, the article are different. They're missing the word expected. We knew it was expected. It was a matter of the official announcement and making the decision final. Jane Sater reports that no one's told Garrett yet. Both of those things can be true. So as of right now, I don't think we're there yet. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. So, guys, if we did not get to your questions, I apologize. We've, been live for about an hour here. I'm sorry we didn't get to your questions. Hit me up on Twitter if you do. I will respond in the morning because my wife's going to kill me at this point. She's not happy with me that I'm doing more work here at 11 o'clock at night. But if we didn't get to them, let me know. If you want more Cowboys coverage, we'll be live a bunch over the next couple of weeks. We'll have tons of videos for you. So just go subscribe right here to the Cowboys Report. Hit that big red button.